But the one thing they had in common were these flags. Every regiment had two flags. You had a national flag and you had a regimental flag. The national flag, of course, was the Stars and Stripes, the Star-Spangled Banner, Old Glory, whatever else you want to call it. That was issued to every regiment in the North by the United States government. The regimental flag was a second flag that was supposed to distinguish your regiment from all the other regiments. The soldiers were taught from day one, as soon as you hit your first day of training, that always know where your flag is. Rally around your flag. That's where that term came from. Rally around your flag. When that flag moves forward, you move forward. When that flag moves to the right, you move to the right. Flag stops, you stop. Civil War battlefields were very, very chaotic and hectic places, especially when there were battle lines, because you'd have maybe 20 regiments, 20,000 men bunched together in a battle line. They all basically dressed the same, all having mostly blue uniforms. So if you had to get sent back, quarter mile, get ammunition, or go get, and you come back, it's hard to find your regiment. It's loud, it's noisy, there's a haze of gun smoke just hanging over the whole thing, and you have to find your regiment. Well, you find it by looking for your flags. The flag is the one thing that distinguishes it. And the flags weren't there just for inspiration. The flags actually did have a military purpose. And the military purpose was communication. So you could see, you could find your regiment, you could keep track of your regiment, but also the generals used the flags to keep track of what was going on, not just in the line, but on the battlefield when you were on the move. Think of a quick scenario here, how you would use the flags. The generals would get together the day before, the morning of a major battle, and they would come up with their overall battle plan. And if you've got 25 or 30,000 men under your command, you can't go back and tell all 25, 30,000 men what the plan is. You can't do that. So what they would do is they'd call in the brigadier generals. A brigade, I told you, a regiment's 1,000. A brigade is 3 regiments together. So, and each brigade would have its own general, the brigadier general. So they would bring in the brigadier generals and explain, here's your little piece of the battlefield, here's the overall plan, here's how I want you to do it. Well, the brigadier generals would then go back to their 3 regiments, and they'd get their 3 sergeants, and they'd get all their flag bearers. And they'd get to them and say, here's the plan. Our objective is that lump of trees or that hill across the field. That's the soft spot. Artillery's going to bombard it for 45 minutes to an hour, soften it up. Once we hear the cannons go silent, our 3 regiments, the brigade that the Illinois 53rd was in, was also in with the 41st Indiana and the 3rd Ohio. So we're going to have Ohio lined up on the left, Illinois in the center, Indiana on the right. Once the guns go silent, we want you 3 regiments to start marching forward. Get halfway across, we'll have Illinois and Indiana both stop. Ohio, you keep marching forward, go into a formation only 50 men wide. Illinois, once you see them get 50 yards ahead, you swing in behind them and follow them. And we're going to go out 3 regiments wide. But by the time we get across that field, we're going to be aiming at that designated spot, either a hill or trees or whatever. And we're going to be in a narrow band hitting it one after the other. Now the men don't understand and don't see any of that. They're watching the flags. So somebody like Sergeant Poundstone has to understand what the overall concept is. He's got to remember, he's got to keep a cool head under fire. He's got to remember when he's supposed to stop. And that's a signal for 1,000 men to stop. And then he's got to remember, okay, now I have to swing into formation. And when the people see the flags start moving, they follow the flags. So that's how the flags were used on the battlefield. And then the overall commander, someone like William Tecumseh Sherman or General Grant or Lee or Stonewall Jackson on the other side, the overall commanders, after they give the command, they usually found a place behind the battle line. They would go up on the roof of a barn, or they'd find a farmhouse where they could look out the attic window. And they're half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away from the actual action a lot of time. But they could see by the movement of the flags how the battle's going. Because they know, okay, these flags should be moving forward. Well, all of a sudden 2 of them are starting to go backwards. That's telling them those people are being put back and they need to get reinforcements in that area. So the flags were very important to the commanders on letting them know how the battle was forming, actually forming compared to what the battle plan was. So it took a very special man to be a flag bearer. And Poundstone obviously had to be one of them. Only the truest, the bravest, the strongest, and the best of soldiers got the honor of carrying a flag in the battle. You've got to be smart, like I said, because you have to have a cool head under fire. You got to be strong. This flag is 6 feet by 6 feet. That's 36 square feet. It's not heavy. It's made out of silk, very thin, but it catches 36 square feet of air. It was on a rod that was 11.5 feet long. So Poundstone had to hold this flag high. And he had to carry the flag holding it high across a lot of different kinds of fields. We're not talking parade grounds. We're not talking high school football field. They're walking across plowed cornfields. They're walking across fully mature cornfields. They're walking across creek beds, up and down hills. And sometimes they're running carrying these flags. You got to be a strong man, first off. And if you take a look at Poundstone, you can tell he was a strong farm boy. He grew up on a farm right 2 miles north of what is now Grand Ridge. His father had a farming, cattle breeding operation. He lived there his whole life, so he was a strong farm boy. He was brave for taking the job, you know that. He was strong. And you have to be able to keep a cool head, because not only do you have to be strong, but you're out front. You are marching in front of your regiment toward the enemy that's shooting at you. So you got to be pretty damn brave. Put yourself in that line of fire. You also, that's one strike against you right there, is you're out front. The second strike against you is you're holding this flag and you're waving it around, because you have to have 1,000 men see that flag so they know when to stop and when to go. So that's 2 strikes against you. You're out front and you're the most visible, because picture you're a Confederate, you're looking across the field, all you see is a line of blue, and every once in a while just a couple of colored flags. So your eyes are naturally drawn to that color. So you stick out like a sore thumb. The third strike you have against you is the enemy understands the importance of the flag on the battlefield for communication. They understand that 1,000 men are watching them flags, so they know when to stop and go. So their main objective is to take the flags out first. So not only are you out front, you're the most visible, but you're the main objective. And it amazes me to this day, they never had problems getting people to volunteer for those jobs. It was such an honor, such a bragging right. When you went home that you were a flag bearer, they all wanted to do it. There's one more strike against you. I know baseball you get 3 strikes. I'm going to 4. The 4th strike against you is you're the only unarmed man on the field. Now, how stupid is that? And that's why you have the guards. That's why you have the color guard unit. You're out there, you're carrying the flag. You've got 4 guys around you that are supposed to be trying to protect you. They're not going to do any good, but cannon come from a half mile away, take your head off if it hits you. But that was the idea of the color guard unit. And they had a designated line of succession. If one of the flag bearers went down, they had a line of succession who was supposed to drop their gun and pick up the flag. So, I guess now you know who Poundstone is. Now you know why we have flags and where this flag came from. Like I said, we have 2 flags. We have a regimental and a national flag. Now the national flag was a regular. Regimental flags came in different sizes, different shapes, different colors. There was a standard regimental flag. It's a blue flag. It has the gold trim around it, 6 feet by 6 feet was the standard size. It had an eagle in the middle of it, and in the tail arms of the eagle, it had the name of the regiment on it. And that was the standard regimental flag. They actually came in all different sizes and shapes.